Hello everyone, I'm Laurel and welcome to my channel. If you're new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button and help my community grow. I thought that I would do a great beginner's project, and that would be making beads. Recently I had bought these two bead molds. They're two different size beads. I already had this bead mold, as you can see, but I thought this would be great so I can make even more beads. So all of these came from Amazon. Now the supplies you can use for this, for the beads, are need mixing bowls if you're going to be using colorants or mica powders. And the mixing bowls, you can use a silicone mixing bowl or a disposable mixing bowl. It's up to you which you would prefer. Some kind of silicone mixing utensil. You will need tweezers to put small bits into here, which I will show you. You can do some clear resin beads with a variety of different things. Now, what I have here is my most famous video, I think, is beads that I had made using these little teeny tiny little daisies, and they are just absolutely beautiful. And you can just put them right into your molds. You can also use these crushed glass chips. And I got silver. I believe we got another color, maybe. I don't know. Let me check. Well, I have silver, and I believe I have gold also. You can use these little rhinestones in there. You could get these holographic stars. These are perfect for beads. Little flowers, of course, all kinds of little things. These are little sequins. I have, here's the crushed glass, and this is multicolored. This would look so lovely in a bead. I have little bits and bobs that are, these are little candy pieces. And these are glass bubbles. And they're like little bubble beads, and you can place these in there for like a multicolored bead, and you would use clear resin with that. You can also, like I said, use the colorant and just make one color bead with either the colorant or the mica powder. That's up to you. So why don't we get started? I'm just going to make all different types of beads. Nothing in particular, just something just to have fun with. And you can use these beads for necklaces, bracelets. You can add them to charms. Let's see, phone charms. You can add them to the purse charms or bag charms. Recently I saw sneaker charms, so a really colorful little bead would make a beautiful charm on your sneaker. So let's see, what will we start with today? I think I'm going to start with this one. Let's see, I'm going to use the bigger mold first. And what I'm going to do is I'm only going to take the clear UV resin and fill them halfway, because we may have to add more, but I need space to put the little bits in. So that's why you're only filling it about halfway. And it does take time to go down because it has that little piece that sticks up to make the hole for your bead. And let's see, what should we start with? Well, I have some of these. These are those glass bubbles. So we can do a few of those. We can do like 3 maybe of these. I think that would look really pretty. Now you could just pour them in, or you can put them in your hand like that, just so you don't waste. And also, if your tweezers get into the resin, you're not putting it back into this bag and contaminating all your little beads with resin. So you can just either pick them up and drop them in. Some are a little too big, but you can just push them in. Do it that way, or you can do it with your fingers. Take them, drop them in, push them in. Now make sure if you get these contaminated with the resin at any point, do not put it back in the bag. That also will contaminate your bag of little glass beads or whatever you're working with. So just make sure that you use up whatever is in your hand. And I think I'm going to need some more resin in this one. But I'm going to put some beads in here too, these little glass beads. Now, if you get some resin on yourself, I suggest using a baby wipe. And I also recommend that you do wear gloves. The only reason I do not wear gloves when I'm doing this is because I'm working the camera and I don't want to get the resin on my camera. So you can also use a baby wipe to clean off utensils. So I have some stuff in there already. I think I need a few more in here. So I'm just going to put a little bit more out on my hand. And then just drop them in there. And I'm just going to push those off into there. Any that fell on the side. So we used that. So I think those will make pretty beads. And then once you get them in there, you just fill it up more. Up to the top. Now I didn't notice this before, but one of these is bent, and I don't know why it keeps bending over, but I don't know if that's going to be a problem. I'm just going to push it a little bit over there. I'm going to put some little candies in one. Since this is the larger beads, these will fit in there. Okay, I don't need that many. I just need some. So I'm just going to add those in. Just drop them in. And drop them in because the back side is white and this side is the colored. So when you drop them in, have this facing towards the outside of the bead. And then that way, you'll see the candy. Now sometimes they do twist around a bit, and if they do, it's not a problem. So also, if you get too much, you can just clean that up with a little bit of a paper towel too. Okay. So I'm just making a variety today. I'm not making anything special, but when you do make these, obviously you're going to do, you know, several beads with the same item that you put in there. Okay, this one might be a little problem because this one's staticky. So I'm just going to push them in. I just don't want them to get into any of the other ones. Just push them in. Now this one would have been good to put in your resin first and then put it in a mixing bowl. So you can take, I'll use this one. You can take your mixing bowl and then put your stars in there. We'll put a little bit more. Make a couple beads like that. Put some resin in there. So you have two options. You can either place them right into the mold after you put a little bit of resin in it, or you can just mix it up like this and get it inside the mold this way, which is a little bit easier. It still kind of takes a little time. I'll put some in these too. Not sure what I could use these for, but probably some charms. They'd look very nice as charms. And I have a few stars left, so just add a little bit more resin. Get some of these stars up, and I'll just place them in here. And just pour them in. It's that easy. Okay, and then you just clean off your mixing utensil with your baby wipe, and then you can take this and put it under your light to harden the resin, and then it'll just peel out. So I'm just going to do that and let it harden up. And then while that's going on, I'm going to make some more beads. I'm just filling this up to the top. And those stars on top, they won't do anything. As long as they just sit there, they're just stuck to the silicone. So when I'm done making the beads, I can just clean those up with a piece of tape. Okay. I think this one needs just a pinch more. All right, next we'll move on to the smaller mold. And I think I'm going to do some color with this. Let's see. I would like some pretty green or light green beads. Let's move these aside. Put a couple drops in there of colorant. Now this is the transparent colorant. They do also have opaque. I recommend for UV resin using the transparent. And let's see, there's a little spout over on this side, so we'll just pour this in. Maybe another drop. And then this one. Now, if you want to make more beads of the same color and you didn't mix up enough colorant, just do the same process. Add some UV resin and a couple drops of your colorant. And then mix it up thoroughly. You'll know when it's all mixed up. Now if you have bubbles in there, you can use a lighter to get the bubbles out, or you can just put it in here, and then when the bubbles rise to the top, you can use a lighter to get them out. And you can also use a hot air gun while it's still in your mixing bowl, and that should take the bubbles out. Okay, so I got 4 of those. I think I can get 5. Oops. Oh, maybe 6. Let's try to get 6 out of this. And I got 6 out of there. That is great. So now this is disposable, so I can just throw that out when I'm done with it. So I'll just set this aside. So we got 6 pretty green beads. So let's see, I also have square ones, so you can get different sizes in the square. These are the very small ones, but you can also get larger squares. So I think I'm going to do the squares, and I'm going to do pink. And let's see, let me just get another disposable. We'll just use a few disposable from now on. All right, so for this, you just place your UV resin in your bowl with your mixing tool. You can use like the end of it or just this part, as long as it's cleaned off from the last use that you did. You can just take some of it, a little bit of a pile on there, and drop it in. And if you think you need a little bit more, I don't need much, you just place it in there. And when you mix it, you don't want it too opaque. You want it, again, sort of transparent so that it cures properly. Because if it's transparent, it'll cure. If it's too opaque, it'll have a hard time curing. Oops. Also with the bead molds, if you're working on a larger project, you know, whether you're making earrings or keychains or anything like that, and you have leftover resin, beads are a good thing to put that leftover resin in, because then you can have some beads for a later project. Okay, so I got 6 out of this. Need another little drop, I believe, in some of these. And I do have a little left over, so let's see, let's set this aside, and we can put it in one of these bead molds. So we'll have one pink bead here. Okay, and then there's not much left over, so we can throw that out. All right, and just clean this off. Now, I'm not sure what else you'd like to see me put in here, but we still have some beads here. And then these are a different type of beads. They've got a larger hole. So these are great for placing on kind of a thick chain, or like I say, if you have a serpentine chain, and it's a little bit thick. This would be perfect to put on there because it's got a larger hole, or for bracelets. And I will put at the end a few examples of things that I had made in the past, and I'll put the videos of those items with the beads. I'll put the links into the description box so you can also watch those and see how I made them. Now we have some sequins that we can use. We also have, let me see. Oh, I know. I have these cute little paper flowers. I'm not sure how they'd work, but we could also, I can do an example of this, even though I do have a video out on it. We can add some. We can do a couple of those. I think I poured too much in there, so that one will be a clear bead because I poured too much in, but that's okay. We'll do a clear bead so you can see what those look like too. And this has some stars stuck on it, so I just have to clean this off. And just find some little flowers to push in there. Now sometimes they will create bubbles, and you can, like I said with that one, with these stars, we mixed them up before in the resin, before we poured them in there. You can do that. Now I'm being very careful getting these out of this and placing them in there. I don't want to get resin in here. So I'm just picking them up by the petals and sticking them in. And make sure that the flower faces outward. That's kind of a big one, but it'll fit. And you can put as many as you want in there, that's fine. Okay, so I see that this one needs a little bit more, maybe a drop. And this needs a drop. And see, we filled this up. I think that needs a drop. And then we gotta fill this up the rest of the way. Same with this. And also you can let it settle a little bit, and then, like I said, the bubbles will come up. This one is taking a little bit more time to settle. Now this one I put a little bit too much in, so let me just grab one of these and I'll just dab it a little bit to get some off. And put it over there. Okay, so we got two with flowers, and then this one. Okay, I'm just making sure the flowers are in there properly. And we have, let's see, oh, we have two left. I thought I did, no, we have two left over here. So we're gonna do paper flowers. And let's see, we'll just do both of them paper flowers. And I'm just going to take them and then just drop them in. They have a print on both sides, so it doesn't matter how you drop them in. They don't have to face any particular way. And I think for these, before we get to that, I have to fill these up. Okay. And then for these, I think I'm going to put some flowers in. I don't know if I'm going to use these. I know I have some colorful ones. Here's some colorful acrylic flowers. And this is nail art. So you can use anything that you find that's nail art, you can use as things to put into UV resin. So we're just going to fill these part of the way. I'm not sure how I'm going to do these yet, but okay, so we can do different colors. I'm going to clean these off first. Let me see. I think I'm going to do some summery colors. So I'm going to do some pink ones. Now these, the fronts, I don't think it really matters because it does just show up as a flower in your resin. So you can either have them face the outer part. See, like the one side is flat and the other side looks like a flower. So the side that looks like the flower, you can have it face the outer part of the mold. Or if it turns around, it's fine because it doesn't really make a difference because it still looks like a flower. And in a lot of these, you get little micro beads in here. I don't know if I can grab that up and show you. It's just a little, let me see if I can see it on the camera so you can see. It's just a little tiny bead. And then they come in here with the little flowers. You can add those in. It just gives it a little bit more interesting look. So you got some flowers and some pearls, so that's kind of nice. Okay, then we'll move to the next color. Get some purple ones in there. Oops. Okay, and this one has little tiny rhinestones. You can place those in there also. Unfortunately, when you put them in, they kind of turn around and sometimes you can't see the shine, but that's okay. Okay. And we can do, I think, let's do this, the turquoise. Those are pretty. And this one comes with little micro beads too. Okay. Let's see, what can we do with those? Let's see. I have some of this glass, crushed glass we could do. I'm going to do all of them with the crushed glass, but I think I'm going to use the multicolored one because I think that's really pretty. I'm just going to pour it out on my hand again. And then I'm just going to gather some up and drop them in. You can use your fingers too, because for some reason they just don't want to go in. They're hard to pick up with the tweezers. This way, if you just drop it on, you can just push them on in. Okay, and then once you get the amount you want in there, just take that off my hand, and then I'm just going to add more resin to fill it up. Okay. Close this up, and then make sure you clean off your utensils right away, because you don't want the resin to cure on it, because if it does, it just gets all crusty and hard to work with. Okay, so we have all this now. Oops, gotta be careful. Move those over. So we'll set everything aside. Okay, this one I didn't use, so we'll just put that back. We have some beads here, some beads here, and we have to start curing all of these. But before we do that, I'll show you, I cured this, and all you do with these silicone containers or mixing bowls, you just peel it out. And if there's still some stuck in there and you want to remove it, just take a piece of masking tape and just go along the inside of it, and it's all cleaned up. I like the disposable for some reason. Now, if you have any down here that you want to pick up, you can either put it back in the container, or again, if you have like all kinds of little bits of things that are different, like the little stars and all, just pick it up with a piece of tape. And then you can even do some of these just to get them out of the way, and then just dispose of that. All right, so we're ready to cure. Now, I have this UV light, There's several different ones you can get. This is just a nail lamp, which is cheaper than the UV lights for resin. Well, at the time it was. I only paid like, I think $13 for this when the UV lights for the resin were a little more expensive. But the prices have gone down, so you can get something like this for your UV resin, or you could get a double-sided one. And from what I've been researching, I think the best one would be Let's Resin or J Diction. They have a double, and it's really nice because it's got a little drawer in it that is a little acrylic shelf, and you can just place these on the shelf, and then it cures both sides, up on the top and down below. Now, since I have this one, which is fine, I have to cure a little longer because I have to cure the top first and then turn it over and cure the bottom. So it's up to you what kind of light you'd like. There's several different on the market. Do your research, pick something that you do really want and something that you really do like. They are sometimes a bit costly, but they are definitely worth it. Let's see. So let's see which ones we can cover with this, because you can't get them all in. So I'm just going to move some aside. And I'm going to cure these first. Probably, oh, this might not work either. I might have to use a little smaller one in there. So I'm going to cure these first, and I'm going to cure them for about 3 to 5 minutes, and then turn them over and cure the underside for 3 to 5 minutes. Now some of these are clear, and some of them will cure faster, and then the ones like with the colorant or the mica powder, they'll take a little longer. So I would say 5 minutes for those. Also get yourself a long neck lighter, and then you can just go around and pop those pesky bubbles. Now these sat for a little bit, so like some of the bubbles already popped on their own and they rose to the top just the way I wanted them to. But you still might see a few within your project. It just adds character to it. It's not a problem. It just looks nice. If you got a lot of bubbles, well then you got a little bit of a problem. But if you just got a few, like 1 or 2, that's not a problem at all. I'm just checking now too, because I see after I did that, I see some of it needs a little more resin. And I want to make sure that they're filled up all the way. It's sometimes hard to see. But you can see when you're pouring it in, you can see it as it rises to the top. So now if it's close to the top, just do a little dab. You don't need much. These are all okay. This one needs a little more. Okay. And then I will go over it again with my lighter, even though I just poured some in. I don't want any additional bubbles. I didn't do these, but I did these. And this actually sunk down again, so I might need a little bit more. Okay. These look fine. Okay. And again, 3 to 5 minutes for these. Clear ones probably about 3 minutes, and then turn them over for 3 minutes. And the colored ones with the colorant and the mica powder about 5 minutes, and then turn them over and cure for 5 minutes. And I'll be right back. Alright, so now they're all cured and we can take them out of the mold. Now you can fill this up a little bit more if you'd like, or you could just sand the edges off. Oops. These need a little bit of sanding on the edges. Okay, let's take a look at these. Now this was the colorant, and as you can see there's a lot of bubbles in there that I didn't get. And this one's got a fairly large bubble right there. Okay, gotta try to keep those from rolling off. So I think I'm just gonna put them in this disposable mixing bowl for now. Okay, and then we can open these up, and these are the wider holes, and this is what they look like. And these are faceted, so it also gives like kind of a glitzy look to it. And you can see the crushed glass in there. And this turned out really nice too. This one has flowers in it. Oops. But apparently I didn't fill it all the way, so we only have a half of a bead. But I'll save that and use it for something other than a bead. I'll use it for some other project. Here's the purple flowers, if I can get them out. And there's some little diamonds in there you can see. And these are the white flowers. And we have one more of the faceted beads. Now these are smooth and these are the faceted. So one side on here is faceted and one is smooth. And this is the crushed glass again. Excuse the noise, my son's cutting the lawn. Here are the pink square beads. Let me see if I can get these out. They're really cute. So those can be used for, any of these can be used for charms, necklaces, bracelets. Just pop them right out. Here's what they look like again. That one had a slight little bubble. Okay, we'll do these round ones. These are the small round ones, and we had some leftover pink and used it on this. And that made a real pretty bead. This is some, oops, these are the paper flowers. I don't know if you can see them. And these, I believe, are the paper flowers. This was the one that we did clear because I filled it too much, and that makes a nice little clear bead. These are the little mini daisies. Look how lovely that looks. Same with this one, very pretty. All right, let's see, these are the bigger beads, the larger size. Let's see what we got here. Ooh, It didn't want to come out. All right, this is the glass bubble beads, and that turned out very pretty. These are the little candies. They're slippery. You can see the candies in there. This one is the glass bubble beads. And here's all the stars. We can get those out. Ooh, these turned out really pretty. Look how lovely those look. And this one has less. I didn't put that much in it. Now, when you're doing these, you can put as much or as little as you want in these. You don't have to, you know, put a bunch of them in there. You could put less, but I like how they have some where it's clear, and then there's some of the stars. I think that looks really nice. So as I said, you can use these for charms, bracelets, necklaces. They're just really pretty. You don't have to do it like I did, a little here, a little there. If you want a bunch of beads all the same, just continue on making them. Say you need about 12 of these beads, you make 12 of these beads. So I think these turned out rather nice. There was a couple that didn't turn out very good, you know, because I didn't put enough resin in it. It's hard to see when you're putting the resin in these molds. I do like the larger mold. This is really nice. So at the end, I will show you some of the things I had made with some beads, and you can take a look at those. And in the description box, I'm also going to put links to those projects. So if you want to watch the full video, you can. So thank you for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please give me a thumbs up. Also, subscribe to my channel, share my video, and press that bell for notifications of upcoming videos. In the description box below, you will find a link to my Etsy shop, which is Creations by Laurel, and you'll also find links to my jewelry, my artwork, and my photography. Thank you again for watching. See you soon. Bye-bye.